Good morning, everyone. I had a horrible night's sleep, but at least when I woke up, I had a smile on my face because I read about great news. You see, nothing cheers me up more than world collaboration. Seeing nations that previously were upset with each other now burying the proverbial hatchet. So let's see how it started. You guys remember that last year a pandemic came from allegedly China, and a lot of nations initially did a bit of condemnation, but afterwards everything went quiet, everything went dark. Just like in China after it decided to ban the imports of coal from Australia. Do you know why? Well, because Australia condemned China for their mishandling of the pandemic. And because of this, China said, oh, if you want China to be your enemy, then China will be your enemy. And they decided to put a ban on the imports of coal from Australia. And because of that, there seems to have been a couple of energy crises within the country of China. Places going dark, places remaining without power, businesses having to close early, especially factories, and China was struggling to find other places where to import their coal from. Because you see, a country that is so forward thinking and for fighting for green energy does require a lot of coal. The Australian coal, as I understand it, is a lot better in quality than most other coals. So it can burn more efficiently than in other places. But that's just a story that I don't want to get into. I just want to show you how important it is for the people of China to allow the world to get to the facts, to get to the truth. And the truth is that we are not so sure that the COVID virus came from Wuhan. So, of course, an independent investigation is required. Someone that is definitely not on the payroll of China to investigate China and see whether or not the virus came from them. As such, the World Health Organization stepped out to the plate and they said that it's not about finding out if China is guilty. So, not only are they on the payroll, but they're also good-hearted people. They don't want to blame fingers. They don't want to make irrational accusations. They just want to have a normal investigation and see what's happening. And although they experienced some technical difficulties in the beginning, a lot of technical difficulties, but why do we even need this investigation? At the end of the day, we should just trust the Communist Chinese Party because they are the experts when it comes to the authority of Chinese affairs. And I am willing to trust what they say happens in China. So you may be wondering what they are claiming. Well, according to The Guardian, Wednesday, 20th of January, they were still claiming that the United States Army is linked to COVID. You see, the US Army went into China and deployed the virus. Okay. You know, I was like really worried when I saw this because I was thinking, oh wow, like this might hurt relations between US and China, and I don't want that. I'm a person that likes peace and collaboration between the nations of the world. I do not such a thing to impede that peace and collaboration. But you can rest assured because this morning I have read a beautiful article which says that the infamous Wuhan lab is authorized to receive US taxpayer funding. The NIH confirms. The National Institute of Health confirmed Tuesday that the Institute of Virology at Wuhan is authorized to receive US taxpayer funding for animal research through January 2024. The research lab in Wuhan is suspected to have caused the COVID pandemic, but nothing is confirmed, through an accidental lab leak and has already received $600,000 in US taxpayer funds between 2014 and 2019. Now, up till this point, nothing outrageous has happened. These type of mutual research agreements take place on a daily basis between nations. So it's not unheard of that the United States might give money to a nation like China in order to do medical research. And in exchange, once the research is completed, China is willing to share the research findings with the US. This is normal. What is a little bit different in this particular scenario is that due to the controversy that has surrounded COVID, as well as the accusations that Chinese officials brought against the US military, you would think that at least for the short term it would be okay to demonetize this particular research lab, to suspend the findings until an investigation can take place. Which is why the National Institute of Health did tell EcoHealth Alliance in July that it would restore the grant if the organization met certain conditions. One of which was to arrange for an independent team to investigate the Wuhan Institute of Virology to determine if it had possession of the virus prior to the first known cases in December 2019, as the US State Department suspects. However, the president of the EcoHealth Alliance, Peter Daszak, told NPR that the NIH conditions were preposterous. He is not trained as a private detective. It is not his job to do that. And he was the only US member on the World Health Organization delegation who in January and February investigated the origins of COVID-19 in China. The delegation has yet to release a report on its findings. However, Daszak told the White House it should blindly accept the delegation conclusion and said it's highly unlikely that the virus could have leaked from the Wuhan lab. The American intelligence has had evidence that researchers at the Institute of Virology became infected with COVID-like symptoms before the first known cases in December 2019. And while Daszak claimed that the US State Department findings shouldn't be trusted, the State Department also contends that the Wuhan lab has collaborated on secret projects with the Chinese military. And there you have it, folks. No one knows. Not even today. I don't know if we're going to know soon, but maybe it's better not knowing. Maybe it's better that things just go the way they are, because at the end of the day, it's better for nations to collaborate with each other than to have these petty grievances and petty strifes over whose military did what and what research lab researched what and where the US taxpayer money is going. Like all of these things are often hurdles in the way of mutual peace and collaboration. But you know what also gave me hope for a brighter tomorrow? What also gave me hope for a brighter future? Now, there are a lot of accusations out there saying that China does bad things to good people, that they are oppressing some of their minority population, and that they are a dictatorship, a tyrannical regime. But I have managed to hear the President of the United States address these horrible concerns.
You know, Chinese leaders, if you know anything about Chinese history, it has always been the time when China has been victimized by the outer world is when they haven't been unified at home. So the central, to vastly overstated, the central principle of Xi Jinping is that there must be a united, tightly controlled China. And he uses his rationale for the things he does based on that. I point out to him, no American president can be sustained as a president if he doesn't reflect the values of the United States. And so the idea, I'm not going to speak out against what he's doing in Hong Kong, what he's doing with the Uyghurs in western mountains of China, and Taiwan trying to end the one China policy by making it forceful. I said, and by the way, he said he gets it. Culturally, there are different norms at each country, and their leaders are expected to follow.
My God, that was such a beautiful speech of understanding. Did you see how he did the fist when he said, like, China needs to have a tight grip? And he showed the fist. It's like this. This is how the leadership needs to be. Oh, my God. It's good that we don't have a time machine to send Joseph back before World War II, because he would just be like, well, you know, like Nazi Germany. The world was always bad to Germany when they weren't having a tight grip of unity in the country. But, you know, like usually when these type of things go out in the public, most world leaders tend to avoid them. They either try not to discuss about it, or they discuss about it, but they say, well, it's not such a big deal. I don't think it's happening at such a large scale. Oh, you guys, those are just some false informations. But no, I like how President Biden really took the reins of this bitch. And went like, yes, they need that strength. They need that unity. Now let's talk about diversity agenda. Did you know we hired a woman that's a first? But a lot of people on the internet were pointing out that this clip is edited, that this is not Joe Biden's full speech, that he said something extra, which we need to hear. So let's see what else he said that was not in this original clip.
When you talk to him, though, about human rights abuses, is that as far as it goes in terms of the U.S., or is there any actual repercussions for China?
Well, there will be repercussions for China, and he knows that. What I'm doing is making clear that we, in fact, are going to continue to reassert our role as spokespersons for human rights at the UN and other agencies that have an impact on their attitude. China is trying very hard to become the world leader. And to get that moniker and to be able to do that, they have to gain the confidence of other countries. And as long as they're engaged in activity that is contrary to basic human rights, it's going to be hard for them to do that. But it's much more complicated now. I shouldn't have tried to talk China policy in 10 minutes on television here.
Oh my God, this is why I love a strong American president. The madman is going to do it. He's going to go to the United Nations. Where did he say he was going to go? At the Human Rights Committee, huh? Isn't that the one that's being governed by Saudi Arabia? Or was that 2 years ago? I forgot. But anyway, right, he's going to go to the United Nations. And he's going to tell on China. He's going to wiggle the finger and is going to be like, no, 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 China. Oh, I see what you're doing there. Wasn't that what happened last year when China went and did the same thing against the United States? And they were like, oh, yes, we witnessed systemic racism in your country, Westerner. How are you going to address it? And I remember like a lot of things changed in the US since then. A lot of things changed because China went to the Human Rights Commission and told on the US. And then the United Nations looked towards the US angrily and said, America, you need to change for the better. You need to end systemic racism right now, America. Right this moment, you need to end it. And it was ended, wasn't it? I mean, the UN stepped in. What could America do then? They stepped in. I mean, imagine trolls on the internet suggesting that it's like America and China sitting in a room and they're like, you're racist. No, you're racist. No, you. No, you. No, you don't follow human rights. No, you don't follow. No, you're racist. You're racist. We gonna grab lunch after this? Because America wants to be the world power. You know, apparently I thought, I was the bad impression that in order to be the world power, you need to control the trade routes and have a big ass military. I thought that's the requirement, but apparently not. Apparently it's with consent. Like other nations just go like, yeah, sure, why not? Yeah. And you go like, okay, we want to control this trade route. And the other nations go like, well, you treat your people nicely and we definitely recognize you as the world power. So we're going to allow you to control this trade route. Yeah, absolutely. It's not that the United States just has a big ass military that any two other nations in the world combined wouldn't be able to take on the US right now. No, it's just like people respect America, that's why. They look towards America and they're like, yeah, we notice that you respect your people and you have human rights within your nation, and as such, we're just going to do what you tell us because that's why you're the world leader. Yeah. A lot of faith has been restored in world politics after waking up this morning and putting the pieces together. I also love a lot of people on Twitter that are like, oh, you know that guy that didn't salute in the picture with the judge? I would have been that guy. I would have spoke up. You know what? If I had a time machine and I would go back into Germany, do you know what I would do? I would speak out. I would be the person that speaks truth to power. The Reich wouldn't have happened if more people like me were there. You know that before World War II, America didn't have that bad of a relationship with Germany. I mean, Hitler went into the Time magazine as Person of the Year. You had a lot of trade deals going on between the two nations, and I think a couple of companies like Coca-Cola and IBM had financial interest in order to keep the Reich appeased. Now, I'm not saying the same situation is happening all over, but I do notice that a lot of companies in the United States have a lot of financial interests, just as well as politicians who have financial interests. And you know, like, to me, seeing people benefiting and getting rich is the peak human condition. You know, like, human rights, getting rich is what's important. It's progressive. All these companies are very progressive. So, you know, again, I just smile when I see the US president removing some of those xenophobic decrees that the Orange Man took. Like, for example, to keep Chinese ideologues and propagandists out of US universities, because it doesn't make sense. I mean, the US has a lot of propagandists and ideologues in Chinese universities, right? It's a mutual relationship, as I understand it. Hey, let me know what you think, and I'll see you guys in the next video.